that you didn't see in the Iran nuclear deal, the people you didn't see. There was a lot of very public show of negotiations with the 5 nations plus 1 plus the EU. They were over in Lausanne to hammer out the framework, and they stayed at the hotel, and then they kept moving the deadlines, and then finally hammered out a framework. We have a framework. Okay, what was the framework? Well, we talked about one of them, which is re-enrichment or enrichment, right? And the other one is once you're done with the fuel, you can actually reprocess it. And this is where I got in my fake argument with Doug the other night, because when you reprocess, you can actually create plutonium. So those are the two things. It's very simple. Those are the two key things. So they're talking about supply. I'm going to make the supply curve go this way in Iran. This is the part I don't think you saw. I don't think you saw the demand curve. And to really understand supply and demand, you got to draw both curves. You have to understand both curves to understand the whole situation. Everyone, all the pundits, New York Times, Washington Post, etc., they have all kinds of BBC documentaries all about the supply curve, all about it. Nobody talks about the demand curve. Again, you know, in manufacturing, production minus sales equals scrap. There's no sense even talking about it until we talk about the demand curve. I say the people who know about the demand curve, the Bechtels and marine propulsion, would know, since they built half of the nuclear reactors in the United States, GE's the other half, and then the you know, they do marine propulsion here for electric boat, you know, so we talked to some electric boat guys last night. I made a couple of, I thought, pretty innocent jokes about nuclear rods, you know, poking sailors in the eye, and maybe we could make those rods a little shorter, and it was not well received. It's not well, task force was there. I should enter a task force into the discussion now. Task force, just yell out that you're here.
Hey, I'm here. What's up?
Okay, so task force is here. A lot of people just want to know you're okay. So anyway, it turns out the other reason we're here, we talked about a little bit yesterday. I think we got a little Navy boat coming down. Maybe that's just a pleasure boat. Who knows? We'll see. But the negotiations, the reason I think the negotiations took so long is because there's a lot of moving parts to the puzzle that that John Kerry didn't know about. Now everyone is saying this Q is talking about Becky. And everyone's saying, oh, that's Becky Sherman. Oh, don't you get it? She was, huh? Wendy. I'm sorry, not Becky. Wendy, thank you. See, task force man keeps me honest. Wendy, think about that. Wendy, how did I say Becky? Maybe there was an old girlfriend in my life. I never dated a Becky. Anyway, Wendy. Yes, Wendy. So Wendy Sherman, Deputy Secretary of State, very public figure. Again, did they negotiate the Iran nuclear deal on nuke berries? We know they negotiated the Iran nuclear deal on nuke berries. Imran's nuke berries. Yes, they did negotiate on Imran's nuke berries. There's no doubt about that. Were the nuke berries that I found in Lorton the same as the nuke berries used to negotiate the nuclear deal? We don't know. We don't know. But again, Trump could very easily crack the nuclear deal, and the part that's off book, this part, the demand curve, the part nobody saw, the secret part, the part that's kept away from you. Okay. Now I'm not saying that there's not also secret sites on the supply curve as well. There could be secret supply sites. Of the 3 sites that we discovered in Iraq, most of them were discovered, I believe, through earthquakes. And then the Iraqi government would say, oh yeah, we have that one in what's it called? Gnats and ants. We've got, you know, when gnats and ants dance, you get natants. So just think of your ants and gnats dancing, and that was the first one. But did we know anything about that until the Iraqi government came out and said that? Until we had a whistleblower? No. The second one was in a triangular area near Tehran called Ford Now. I don't think we knew about that till 2009. That was an advanced site. Ford Now, you can think of you're working in a Ford factory and your partner working on the factory line slams the door on your hand and you go, ow. So just think of Fort Ow, right? We didn't know about that nuclear site. We did know about Iraq. Iraq spelled R-A-R-A-R-A-K. And those are the three, if you want to talk about the three-legged stool of the Iran nuclear deal, those were the three things. Iraq, gnats dancing with ants, Natanz, and then you have Fort Ow. Those are the three key pillars of the Iran deal. Now you're experts. You didn't have to go to wherever that was, the hotel in Vienna, and stay there for 28 days and eat food brought in. Now you've skipped all that. And even those folks, you know now more as Iran negotiators out there because you know about the demand curve. You know it's Bechtel. You know it's Bechtel Navy propulsion systems. And guess where Bechtel is? Hey, I can tell you right now, Officer Pettyjohn in Columbus, Ohio, I know Bechtel's in Piketown, Ohio. I know they're in Savannah River Site in Columbia, South Carolina, because I know shipments are going there. The spent fuel rods, I believe, do go there. They should be at Nuclear NSA. Nuclear NSA is there at Savannah River Site. I believe our current Department of Energy secretary just recently visited there. Okay, and the other place Bechtel built reactors, I believe, were in Tehran and also in Iraq. So Bechtel's had a long history here, as well as pipeline history and building a pipeline for Syria. We've got Dick Cheney trying to still complete that vision, right? But they're the ones who know about this stuff. This is the demand side of the curve that nobody talked about in the Iran negotiations. And I think it's still fundamentally important for Trump and everybody else to understand actually what happened in Iran. Remember, it was Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton that had a secret pipeline through Israel, running Iranian oil out of the south and then selling it in the north. Israel selling it in the north. Nobody knew about that. I remember going to high school talking about the hostages and so forth. No one ever mentioned that Israel was selling through Egypt and other intermediaries Iranian oil. They were saying death to America. No one knew about the secret deal. So what I'm saying is secret deals do happen, especially with the Clintons. So you've got to, allow for that possibility that there are secret enrichment sites in Iraq and Iran. And look how the CIA car dealership with Imran's nuke berries ties the whole room together. It ties the whole deal together. We've got Al-Attar, who you have confirmed is in the United States, yes, in the Washington, D.C. area. Even though he's had what? How many disbarments or whatever from medical?
He was charged with one of the biggest. Medicare, I think Medicare fraud in U.S. history as a doctor, and also with several sexual assaults while performing as a surgeon.
Drugging.
Yes,
drugging
and sexual
the
assaults.
women, and also he's IRS big problems.
Yes, he has big problems with the IRS. He's got multiple judgments against him.
Somehow gets back in the United States, gets back into medical practice. Again, task force with her incredible courage has confirmed that personally. Okay, we're not dependent.
I'm not gonna say how, but I have.
She has, and so this isn't like fake news. We're not getting it from the Syria Observatory in Human Rights, which is located in Coventry, England. We're getting it from personal investigatorial experience. Al-Attar is alive and well and doing business as a doctor in the DC area right now. Yes. Right now. He's the key. How does he become the deputy prime minister of Iraq? How does he get involved in all these deals and keep get out of jail free cards if he's not involved with the demand curve? If he's not involved with the demand curve, we know he is. He's Wolfowitz's best pal.
Yeah, people can remember that he was the one that was involved with Wolfowitz. He also was a part of Hezbollah. He was with Wolfowitz to help bring us into the Iraq War. That's his big.
That's his claim to fame. He was the national. He was going to be waving the Iraqi flag and saving Iraq for all the people who wanted to save Iraq. So now, when I say the CIA car dealership ties the room together, does it not? It ties the Iraq deal together. You don't need to stay in that Kurloy hotel or whatever the heck that hotel is in Vienna for 27 days and order room service for 27 days to understand the Iraq deal. All you need to do is look down at your feet, look down at that Iran rug that ties that room all together. There's 3 people on that rug. There's only room for 3 bugs on that rug. One of them's Imran Awan. The other guy's a guy named Nasir Khattak. And the other one's Al-Attar. You know all 3. Well, you maybe not, you don't know Khattak as well.
We're going to get to him today, yeah.
We're going to get to Khattak today. Khattak. TikTok. Uh-oh.
TikTok, that's a QAnon.
QAnon is TikTok. We think Khattak may be TikTok, but we don't know for sure. But so getting back to Wendy. Okay, everyone knows it's Wendy. There was a song by the Association. Everyone knows it's Wendy. No, and Wendy has stormy eyes, and Wendy has wings that fly above the clouds, above the clouds. I'm sorry, I'm not a singer. But anyway, Wendy, now try and forget Wendy. Now that your eardrums are bleeding, now try and forget Wendy. I'm sorry, I'm also hoarse. I'm gonna excuses. But Wendy, I think, is a good person. Wendy Sherman's a good person. I know she had a nuke berry. I know, but it's monies. It's M-O-N-I-Z. It's not, I know Q thinks it's Wendy, but I think it's monies, M-O-N-I-Z. He's the guy who was the energy secretary. He's there at all the meetings with the hair. You think I got the bad hair? He's got a really bad hair.
Well, I think Wendy's an important part because that's why Trump said Wendy Wasserman Schultz yesterday.
Well, come in and defend your position now. You weighed in now. You think Trump dropped Wendy Wasserman Schultz just to drop that?
To drop something about somebody named Wendy, yes, absolutely. And then Q dropped the name Wendy as well. So there's a very important person involved in all of this. Now there's several different theories on that, but that was not a mistake.
Yeah. So the Wendy Sherman thing, if she's talking, that's not good because she's gonna have. See, in any kind of negotiation with, and you got Kerry, Mr. CIA, along with his best pal, which is our investigator with the McMobsters up in Boston. McMobsters. I'm going to give you a clue. McMobsters. He was up in Boston. Whitey Bulger. Then he became the head of the FBI.
Oh, Mueller?
Mueller! That's right. The McMobsters with Mueller.
Oh my gosh, I thought that was easy. How do you
Yeah.
I just said Kerry's best friend.
I just want to see if you're listening. All right. So I just wanted to say McMobsters this morning. Because you're going to find McGarrity's coming. I know this is kind of going on a little, maybe not tangential, a little. But you're going to find that McGarrity is the guy who's going to be covering for McCabe, and I call those 2 guys McMobsters because they're from the Boston area where Mueller kind of got his start with the McMobsters up there, which is going to come into the fore. Right now, we don't know that. And the whole FISA thing, there's this deputy associate that then gets promoted 2 days before the election to now McGarrity runs New York. We're going to leave that off the side. I'm going back to my initial logic here, saying the person who knows about the demand side and the supply side is the person who can fit that curve and say this is it, is Wendy Sherman. She doesn't want to go to jail. She doesn't want to go to jail for any secret sites. I'm going to just point over here so I don't get task force. I'm going to just say that's a mountain in Iraq. If I dig into it, I can put anything I want underneath it to spin, to do enrichment, okay? Same thing with doing reprocessing for weapons, creating weapons. Iraq has, and Iran has a lot of mountains. So we don't know everything. Remember, all 3 sites that we're talking about, in the Iran deal, were unknown to American intelligence, right? They were known to CIA. They were known to CIA because that rug tied everything together, did it not? They were known to CIA in the CIA car dealership. They were known to Khattak, I'll tell you that. They were known to Al-Attar. They were known to Wolfowitz. They were known to Cheney. They just weren't known to FBI, right? They were known to CIA. They were known to Brennan. They were known to George W. Bush, right?
And HW.
believe me, they know what the demand curve looks like. They know what Bechtel's doing, okay? They know the supply curve and they know the demand curve, and that makes you a great negotiator. The reason why those damn negotiations took so long is because they kept checking. Kerry kept checking with his boy or girl. He kept checking with Hillary, who was checking with the Majestic 12, whoever the Majestic 12 are. I think if you just start with the board of directors of Genie Energy, you got about half of the Majestic 12. For what, Boston, help me. Yeah. Kerry, she's not going to go down for Kerry. Kerry, for what, Boston, help me. Yeah, an intermediary. Kerry and Mueller are same rugby team at Princeton or that prep school.
Lacrosse, or I think maybe lacrosse.
I think it was lacrosse, or maybe it was lacrosse. You're right, it was lacrosse.
They couldn't play rugby.
They couldn't play rugby, yeah. So and Mr. Swiftboat and Mr. Marine. But anyway, who goes to war at 21? Who goes to war at 21? When's the last time you got? Well, anyway, maybe Kerry did get. I just think Kerry is the key. His nukeberry is the key. If I'm Kerry, I'm going to send as few texts as I can. I'm going to just be sending parameters back and forth during those 27 days negotiations. I'm just going to be sending parameters. Then I'm going to be getting back from the Majestic 12. And if people don't know what I mean by the Majestic 12, it's the highest level of security clearance in the United States. Mainly a lot of Navy guys because of this. We started out with the Majestic 12 because this was a big deal, and the whole nuclear negotiations was a big deal. But if I'm Kerry, I don't want to be the guy doing that. I want Wendy to do that. I want Wendy to be sending this stuff back and forth, and I want to be going, yes, no, like little side motions. I don't want a lot of nukeberry activity. Now, it'll be interesting to see when Trump does push out the nukeberry activity, Imran's nukeberries, what they're actually going to say. I might be completely wrong. There may be a real chatter saying, hey, so okay, I'll spill the beans. Everybody wants to know where the secret reactor facility is at, and this is the Bob Levinson thing. Again, going on metadata, you're not going to believe this, but there's a fourth site. We talked about the first three. What were they? When gnats dance with ants, you get natants, right? The second one, again, secret site, unknown to FBI until it came out, until we had a whistleblower. Second one, I'm working at the Ford factory and somebody slams the door on my hand. I don't say Fordow. If somebody really slammed your hand in the door, what would you say? You'd say Fordow. That's what you'd say. And then the third one is Iraq, A-R-A-K. Now, I know, and U.S. intelligence will confirm that Attar has been to Iraq. He's a nuclear scientist. Look at the people we did the Gulf Tainer deal with. We did with the Iraqi top nuclear scientist, okay? The Gulf Tainer deal wasn't done because people liked to, drive big container ships up and down channels. They did it so that they could get containers to Iraq. I know that sounds crazy, but they're actually trying to get containers to the Gulf. That's why they named it Gulf Tainer. They're not being sneaky here. Now, who do we know? Who do we know puts stuff in containers for nuclear processing? Mr. A.Q. Kwan of Pakistan. Seems obvious. All these things seem obvious to me, but maybe they're not. Maybe they're not. But you got Jack Lew negotiating that agreement, and who's the other guy is Moniz. M-O-N-I-Z.
Now in TI.
And now this is why Q is giving you the clue, NTI, right? And guess who else is there? Admiral Mike McMullen, the same guy who dealt with the Haqqani network in Pakistan.
That's what they're trying to protect, the Iran nuclear deal.
The Iran nuclear deal.
Fighting against Trump about it.
Now here's where Robin Gritz comes in, and you got to stop me if I get into anything. Just say stop, okay? If anything I said is classified or anything.
I don't know any classified information.
You don't? Okay. So So Levinson's on this island called Kish, okay? So it's Iran's kind of the shape of California, kind of. It kind of looks like a stomach on its side. It's got two ends and, you know, kind of a bulge in the middle of where Tehran is. So, and the three sites I talked about are kind of up in the, be up in Northern California. Now, Iran's about the size of Alaska. Okay, Iraq's about 1/4 the size, only the size of California. So that gives you an idea of, you know, the power here. But anyway, a little bit further down the coast by UAE, this is where Oteba's coming in. I know this is complicated, a lot of moving parts, but that's just the way it is. Sorry, I didn't design the deal. But UAE and Dubai, and there's 7 Emirates in United Arab Emirates, there's 7. Dubai being the largest one, Abu Dhabi being the second. But then there's the one that Hillary was the RAQ, R-A-Q, R-A-Q. And he's like the, well,
He's the man of Iraq, isn't he?
yeah, he's the worst one. Of the 7 kids, you know, that's the dopey one. You know, I mean, of the 7 dwarfs, the RAQ, R-A-Q. Now, that's where I believe there's a port over there. Not Dubai. Dubai is kind of like your show port, and you know, you can watch Streams of Dubai. Great documentary that Jason did, and first aerial shot. Imagine how much of a evidence collection that is for the heavy lift cameras on the gyrocopters to go all around. I mean, that for intelligence collection, that was an amazing thing. No wonder Aspen Group wanted to talk to him and buy the thing. But I believe the shipment happened in RAQ. And we have all kinds of information that supports that theory. I'm just trying to point NSA or US Cyber Command in the right direction. But if you look at it, that's where there's a big industrial development area over there by the port in RAQ, right at the end of the peninsula where it goes across to the Strait of Hormuz, okay? And then if you look straight across the Strait of Hormuz, that's the, you know, narrowest opening between Iran, UAE on this side, and let's say Iran on the other side. There's a port over there. There's an island kind of shelters the port, makes an ideal port. I can't remember the name of it. I think it's Shahid, but it's directly straight across from RAQ. That's where I believe the shipments came in. That's why you needed Oteba. That's why you needed the 123 agreement. That's why you needed Imran Awan. That's why you needed mail.house.gov, all the email about UAE and 123 agreements. I think all the 123 agreements are important, all of them, for exactly this reason. Demand curve, right? Demand curve and supply curve, right? And that's why I think like Aram and Anthony Weiner and all the gang, Hillary, that they would want to know all that information all the time. But anyway, I believe the assemblies, now everyone says, oh, George, wait a minute, you're forgetting, on the western edge of Pakistan touches Iran, okay? So, but if you look at the island of Kish, it's directly between RAQ and this 4th secret site called Bush EHR. I'm not kidding, the 4th secret site is Bush EHR. Now, I don't know if that means, you know, I don't know what EHR, I mean, it could, the only thing that could be worse would be Bush HRC, but it isn't. But that'll help you remember at least 2 of the letters. Bush EHR, I'm not kidding. And if you look at the island of Kish, it's right in between. Now, the Bush EHR, the city, might help you remember what went wrong with the Iran deal. Because Bush made a deal in 2007. I think the actual deal started in 1998. And the idea was to get high enriched fuel, 20% fuel, not 3.5%, the good stuff, the high reactor fuel, okay? Forget about the low stuff, low enriched. I'm talking about the Bob highly enriched uranium fuel, okay? Something went wrong and soured with that deal in 2007, 2008 when Hillary becomes Secretary of State in 2009. It was kind of like the deal went off. I believe Bob Levinson was kidnapped because he was involved in administrating the shipment of nuclear centrifuge technology from the United States through UAE to Iran. And I believe the Iranian government seized him because Hillary went back on the deal. There may be a lot of other people speculating. We know Bob Levinson worked for the FBI up until 1998. We know he worked anti-terrorism. We know he worked weapons of mass destruction. Maybe Robin will know more about this, but this is what I believe. Because when Robin goes there with her team in Tehran and she's coming in, that's when Andy pulls her off. That's when Andy pulls her out of the deal. That's when Andy, well, it's true, right? And that's when Gaddis, I mean, he sends Gaddis in, the lawyer buddy, this smarty pants, but that's when he has Gaddis pull her off the deal. I think Bob Levinson, I believe, is still against his will, administrating and building out this place in Bush EHR. Now, you could think of Bush and then an error occurring for the E, and then HRC, you just add a C if it helps you remember it. Because I think that's the secret. This whole thing, I think they've gotten some kind of back channel to Bob Levinson. And somebody has told the story of what actually happened with Bush EHR, the reactor. Now, are there some other sites that may be involved in this? Yes, there's about 5 or 6 other little sites, but the biggies are those big 3 that I said, where you got the ants dancing with the gnats ants. The second one is Ford, ow! And the third one is Iraq, which you can remember easily because of a tar. And the fourth one is going to be Bush EHR. And I believe this whole thing is going to unwind with Wendy. I don't know if Wendy's talking or who's talking. The whole thing's going to unwind with one of those 4 sites. That's my prediction. There's a lot of other waste storage sites and things that are off here and off there and mining sites and so forth. But the guts of the Iran deal is in these 4. The nuke berries, I will venture to guess 90% of the nuke berry traffic was about those 4 sites. 90%. So we'll see. All right. This is it's a lot of complexity. If you haven't followed the series, you're probably going to be like, what the heck is he talking about? I'll just summarize by saying, I don't think Trump said Pakistani man of mystery and Wendy together for no reason. That's what you believe.
Right.
You believe.
Specific reason.
You believe, I mean, come right in here and say that so everybody hears you say it, not me.
Well, from what I've learned and watched of Trump, and from what I know, he does not make these mistakes because he makes mistakes. This is an intentional signal to some people about the name Wendy, and of course he's the name Pakistani mystery man, which we know is Imran Awan. He's them all the same day. There's a message here.
The same tweet.
Same tweet. There's a message here.
So anyway, I think, you know, if Al-Attar wasn't in Washington, D.C. with a cover to finish this off, I mean, is he really in, does he really, I mean, he's the ex-premier or the ex-deputy prime minister of Iraq. Does he really need to be a doctor right now in D.C., or is that a cover for him finishing this thing off? If you wanted to send a message to the people who did the under-the-table deal with the secret sites, remember all 4 sites that I've talked about, the U.S. Intelligence Service did not know of. So when people say, George, what makes you think there's a secret site or any kind of additional, you know, thing that's off book? Well, let's talk about the first 4. We may have a sub coming out. We may have a sub coming out. They normally come down. Or is that just wrong? That's a rambulance. That's a rambulance. So that's our cue to oh, I think they got him. Either that or they got Rayo, one of the 2. So, oh, Rom?
No matter where we are.
It just seems like, you know, the whole crew. Maybe they got the whole crew. So, anyway, if you get confused, go watch Big Lebowski. Get the part where they urinate on the rug and listen to them say how they tied the whole room together. Because that is the Iran nuclear deal rug. And those 3 bugs on that rug are the whole deal. Katak is the demand side. Katak is the demand side. The supply side is a tar. And the middleman, the guy who's doing the nuke berries, is standing in between them. Here's the demand curve, here's the supply curve. 3 bugs on one rug is Imran International Pakistani Man of Mystery. To get the whole Iran deal, you need the 3 bugs on the rug. Pooh.